Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this international market briefing on Japan and South Korea at this busy time as we prepare for ATE in May. My name is Paul Summers, the Director of the Japan and Korea Global Hub at Tourism and Events Queensland, based in Tokyo. So in this short session, there will be a quick refresher on both markets, the latest consumer research insights from Tourism Australia, an overview of our reopening plans, and a reminder of what opportunities there are for industry looking to engage with us in the market. So without further ado, this is a snapshot of who can currently travel to Queensland. The two green ticks for Korea means that the country is open to quarantine-free travel to and from Australia for fully vaccinated travellers, and it's been like that since the 21st of March. But the unique orange tick for Japan indicates that while boosted Japanese can now return to Japan without the need to quarantine since the 1st of March, foreign leisure travellers are still not permitted into the country. We have had some encouraging signs from the Japanese government, however, on the 1st of April, when the government announced that it would be increasing its daily inbound arrival cap from 7,000 to 10,000 a day, which came into effect on the 10th of April. And on the same day, 106 countries that were previously on a level 3 don't travel advisory were downgraded to level 2. Level 2 means that Japanese citizens are asked to refrain from non-essential travel, although essentially they can still travel, while level 3 means that people should avoid all travel to any affected areas. Incidentally, Australia has been level 2 since October 2020. This slide is a reminder of the importance and the potential of the Japan market for Queensland, with the market generating 460 million in OVE, representing 37% of total Japan OVE to Australia. Queensland also had a 47% share of arrivals to Australia pre-COVID. Visitation has historically been leisure-focused, with almost 70% of Japanese visitors coming on a holiday, typically 3 nights, 4 days, with the average length of stay figure that you see there of 10.9, sort of fattened by the contribution from short-term language students and working holiday makers. Japan is largely a point-to-point market, with over 80% of Japanese visitors arriving directly into Queensland airports, predominantly via the Qantas Group into the 3 ports of Brisbane, Gold Coast and Cairns, from Narita Airport in Tokyo and Kansai International Airport in the Kansai or Osaka region. Aviation update. Jetstar are committed to restoring frequency to pre-COVID levels into both Cairns and the Gold Coast, but the launch of their services has been delayed several times this year. As of the 8th of April, the proposed date of resumption has been pushed back from the 1st of June to the 15th of July, and frequency has not yet been announced to the trade here. With Qantas, the challenge for Queensland will be how to grow capacity back into Brisbane, as the previous daily service from Narita will be replaced with 3 flights a week from Haneda using the existing Haneda-Melbourne slot. This is proposed for resumption at the end of October. Virgin still has an unused slot at Haneda, and we understand that a determination has been delayed due to the pandemic. It should be noted also that currently Virgin do not have any aircraft in their fleet that could service this route. The distribution landscape, like everywhere else, has been impacted quite severely in Japan, but prior to COVID, traditional KDPs accounted for more than 70% of holiday bookings to Australia. What this figure will look like as we enter recovery, no one really knows. It has been challenging over the past 2 years as we've been unable to train retail staff. Outlets have been shut, staff have been shed or seconded to domestic parts of their respective businesses, and now there is a lot of resulting uncertainty about just how KDPs will sell Australia and to whom. JTB, for example, will no longer have a main Australia dedicated paper brochure, and they intend to focus more on dynamic packaging online with online systems to support retail staff. Now looking at Korea, this is the source market's aviation access prior to COVID. 74,000 Korean visitors came to Queensland in 2019, generating 242 million in OVE. Brisbane was the main gateway into the state with the direct services of Korean Air from Seoul. But Queensland also received a third of all Korean visitation via Sydney due to the capacity there. And then just at the end of 2019, in December, we saw the launch of direct services with Jetstar from Seoul's Incheon Airport into the Gold Coast, with the service showing immediately strong demand and high loadings. Currently, there are no direct services into Queensland, but Korean Air resumed flying into Sydney in December last year and currently has 2 services a week. Korean travellers now are also using Singapore Airlines to enter Queensland. Jetstar and Qantas recently confirmed some rumours with a dual Seoul-Sydney service from the 2nd of November and the 10th of December respectively, commencing later this year. But we believe that Jetstar will also resume its direct service into the Gold Coast at the end of this calendar year. We also have reason to believe that Korean Air is preparing to resume its direct service to Brisbane within this calendar year, although no official announcement has been made to date. Like Japan, there was a high dependency on traditional KDPs when booking travel to Australia prior to the pandemic, but how this will change going forward, again, we're not so certain. Interestingly, though, even before the pandemic in Korea, there was a significant shift to online players in the market, and that saw us as Tourism Events Queensland engaging more with domestic OTAs like Yanulja and Tide Square, in addition to more traditional wholesale partners like Hana Tour and Mode Tour. Moving now to consumer research insights. Firstly, the Japan summary. This is Tourism Australia's latest travel sentiment tracker with the fieldwork conducted in March, so last month. Overall, sentiment is subdued with a dip in December last year, December onwards, which reflects the impact of the Omicron strain as it entered the country. You'll note also that there is a white gap in the middle. This is when monthly fieldwork was paused by Tourism Australia. I guess overall consumer confidence is stable. Travel and booking intention remains quite weak, although we have seen a significant uptick in the number of people viewing Australia as a safe destination. Perhaps this perception is due to the fact that there's been a lot of coverage here in the media about what is happening in Ukraine at the moment. So it's impacting on people's consideration of Europe. Now looking at Japan market attitudes towards their next holiday in general from the tracker, 19% of Japanese respondents are thinking or dreaming about their next holiday at the moment, with 14% researching, actively planning their next holiday. Roughly one half, or 49% of respondents are still hesitant to plan their next international trip, however. Consideration to Australia is not as strong as what we'll see in Korea. 10% are considering visiting Australia in the next 4 years, while 6% are intending to visit Australia in the next 2 years. Encouragingly, attitudes towards travelling to Australia have improved greatly compared to the February results. As I said, we see much stronger consumer confidence in Korea. It's almost back to a positive state with positive movement across the board. No doubt travel intention and booking intention scores were elevated by the recent removal of quarantine measures last month. There has been an 11-point increase in feeling safe about travelling to Australia in the most recent fieldwork, and this augurs well for the future. Dissecting the summary slide a little more, the main takeout here perhaps is the 9-point increase in consideration to visit Australia within the next 4 years. And there is also a coinciding 5-point increase in intention to visit Australia in the next 2 years by Korean respondents. While in general much more positive about overseas travel compared to Japan, in the short term, we do see some considerable caution remaining for those thinking about travel within the next 6 months, with more people looking to travel in 1 to 2 years' time. Moving now to our reopening plans. In our partner activity, the TEQ-led box on the left represents activity where Tourism Events Queensland in market has taken the initiative, either alone or with our RTO partners, to instigate activity. In Japan, this is with JTB, HIS and newcomer Reiwa Travel, which is an OTA targeting younger, high-value travellers. Where we work in tandem with Tourism Australia and the other states, this is reflected in the middle box, the TA One Voice section, and this is where I work targeting working holidaymakers with STA in Japan and Interpark Tour in Korea is placed. And we intend to bring Jetstar Holidays and HIS as conversion partners into our component of Tourism Australia Japan's re-entry campaign as well. Tourism Australia-led activity on the right is where they work alone in each market. So this is hot off the press. This is what Tourism Australia's re-entry campaign looks like in Japan. It kicked off on the 8th of April in print with full-page colour ads in 3 daily newspapers, like this one here. This is the Nikkei Shimbun, which is the main financial daily in Japan. The tagline above the kangaroo's head says, "The continent of excitement has finally reopened," and it's a really simple, it's a simple tagline, but it's engaging and it gives a reassuring message for future would-be travellers to Australia. This is our activity plan for Japan and Korea on a page. Tourism Australia's consumer re-entry campaign in Korea already started in the latter half of March. And as I've just mentioned, the Yours to Explore re-entry campaign has now started in Japan as well on the 8th of April. In Japan, we are looking to leverage off Tourism Australia's effort to increase awareness with our own digital campaign driving conversion with some specific deals, leveraging off Tourism Australia from mid-May. For media and non-trade partnership activity, we have recently conducted 2 direct-to-consumer pieces of work that I will discuss more on the next slide. And now we are advancing media visits to Queensland for both Korea and Japan, progressing 2 television travelogue opportunities. We're planning 3 key opinion leader visits to Brisbane, Gold Coast, the Whitsundays and Cairns, and also continuing to release monthly pitches to media. In Japan, the fortnightly podcast we started in September last year as a bit of a hobby, Sunset QLD, has achieved 16 episodes to date and over 4,500 downloads. Trade partnership-wise, in the footsteps of Tourism Australia, we commenced a working holiday maker promotion with STA Travel in Japan. And in Korea, we have partnered with Interpark Tour. And to date, we have been told 150 working holiday makers have chosen Queensland as their arrival destination into Australia as part of that campaign, which is really encouraging. In Japan, we are also running a campaign on Twitter that has attracted over 50 entries from working holiday makers. A Tourism Australia-led roadshow targeting trade, working in the leisure, education and business events sectors in Japan in Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, Fukuoka and Sapporo will commence on the 11th of April and go right through to the 28th. Digitally, under our light touch budget, we have doubled down on our SEO efforts in Korea and Japan, and our social media activity in Japan with our Twitter following has been quite impressive. We've doubled the number of followers in the last 7 months to 16,000 and achieved a total reach of 45 million impressions. In Korea, we're also posting regularly on Facebook and doing a little bit of paid as well. Trade engagement over the past couple of months has been ongoing with monthly newsletters in Japan and Aussie specialist training with Tourism Australia in both countries. Two direct-to-consumer activities underway are the Retrip partnership with Tourism Tropical North Queensland, which is one of Japan's most popular travel content websites. It's a series of 3 articles communicating on some of Kansas' key messages, the fact that Kansas summer all year round, it has great cafe culture and is the tour capital of the world. And so far, the number of page views has been very encouraging, with the final article to be published in May. We have just completed a 6-week Australia Fair promotion at Sheraton Grand Tokyo Bay, which is a large 1,200 room property next to Tokyo Disneyland. It's very popular with couples, female couples, families, and we were able to give giveaways to anyone who stayed on the recently refurbished 8th floor, the so-called treasure rooms there that have a very strong appearance or a very strong affinity to the colours that we see in Queensland. And we gave giveaways to anyone who stayed in those rooms over the 6-week period. We also had a lot of visibility around the hotel. We had Australian themed menus, as well as several social media and public relations activities during that 6-week period. Most recently in Korea, as part of our effort with Interpark Tour, we conducted a Instagram live stream that attracted over 350 viewers in March, and that was to launch the working holiday promotion there. And our ongoing PR outreach in Korea has been producing consistent coverage, with the year-to-date March result, the PR result in Korea reaching over $500,000 Australian dollars in value. Since the advent of the pandemic, our integration with Tourism Australia in market has never been stronger, with regular cooperation for ASP training, Aussie specialist training, content creation for trade communication like the monthly e-newsletter that you see here with Travel Vision in Japan. This goes out every month to 56,000 recipients. And we've also created some new testimonial style working holiday maker videos, content for use by us here in Japan on our social media channels and also with partners like STA. With our Aussie specialist engagement in Korea, our next spotlight month is in June, and that will be a focus on the Gold Coast and the Scenic Rim. This was following webinars that we did with Tangalooma and Reef HQ in January, which was the last spotlight month. Our inaugural content partnership with OTA KK Day has been pushed back a little bit to the end of April, And this is another TA One Voice initiative with ourselves and the other states joining TA's leadership. So finally, the last slide, a guide to ensuring that you are kept up to speed with what is happening in Japan and Korea, and also making sure that you keep us informed as well. It's important that you ensure that your rates and your contracts with ITOs and OTAs are up to date, that you share any new product updates with our media and distribution and partnerships team in Brisbane. Please make sure you subscribe to the weekly newsletter that we have, Eye on Cue. Make sure that you tag us in your social media channels with This is Queensland as the hashtag. And also make sure that you review our research and insights section on our new corporate website. Also, please feel free to reach out to me directly, personally, if you have any questions about the market, and also reach out to Michelle, based in Korea. So once again, thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the floor at ATE in Sydney. Thanking you.